Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome here to the World Center of Racing as the Flat Racing Network and Split Second Broadcasting bring you coverage of the Upper Edge Racing Baadteshop Superspeedway Series. Race 8 here this evening at Daytona International Speedway. This race is going to set the table for the drivers that are going to be battling for the championship in 2 weeks' time at iRacing Superspeedway. I'm Seth Cole, joined by Joey Chapman. Joey, you've had the opportunity here this season to share the track with the drivers out in the field here tonight. You mentioned before we even came on the air, the intensity this season from start to finish in every single one of the previous 7 races, and now we're getting closer to the championship being decided. You got to feel that intensity is just going to continue to either stay status quo or maybe even go up another notch.
Correct, Seth. The intensity has been off the walls this season. A lot of new drivers in the series, and now these cars have been a lot different to drive this season. Guys haven't been able to push quite like they used to. You can't stay connected to guys, and it creates a lot of bad pushes, a lot of accidents this season. Guys are really going to have to stay patient tonight. Going to be looking at guys like Dylan Poteet. He is our defending winner at Daytona. This is a big opportunity to make a splash in the championship. One race can change everything. So Dylan Poteet, he was our last winner at Daytona. A lot of guys are just looking to try to get their first wins of the season. Guys that we've seen in the top 5, top 10 in previous seasons may only have 1 or 2 top 10s this entire season. This is the race that sets you up for the championship race with double points.
7 previous races, 7 different drivers have gone to victory lane. An opportunity here for maybe a repeat winner, Blake Trawick, a former winner on the season, back at our first stint at iRacing Superspeedway on the pole position. Chad Winstead's been in the conversation the last couple of weeks, been up there towards the front, gets caught up in something late, but he's been in the conversation. He's looking for his first win on the season. You got the 2-time champion, Bronson Stafford, on the inside of row number 2, and last week, DJ Stagner became the 7th different driver to go to victory lane when he picked up the checkered flag at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. We're going to show you the starting lineup for tonight. Looks like maybe a slightly smaller field than we've had in the past couple of weeks. Also, you mentioned about the previous race we had here at Daytona with Poteet going to victory lane. That was a night-to-day transition. Tonight, it is, I believe, a day-to-night transition. What's that going to mean for the drivers here as the race goes on?
The biggest thing here is just going to be managing your stuff. It's all about survival. We've seen so many races this season. There's going to be an early caution. We might get a green flag run. Do we get green flag pit stops? It's all about be there at the end. You can't win it if you wreck on lap 5.
Green flag in the air. We're underway here at Daytona. It's the Moo-mobile of Blake Trawick that's going to lead the field down into turn number 1. Now, unfortunately, due to scheduling conflicts, we weren't able to broadcast the first Daytona race. So from the driver's point of view, what can we expect to see here tonight as opposed to some of our previous races? Like Atlanta last week was obviously very narrow. We've seen at Talladega 3 wide and 4 wide. I mean, do we see 3 wide formation here this evening, or do they kind of keep it double wide?
I expect this week's race to be a lot more like we saw at Atlanta last week. Atlanta is a track where it was very narrow. You weren't able to make a lot of moves. A lot of guys were having to make their moves off of turn 4, going on to the front straightaway where you get that little kick right before the start-finish line. Here, it's going to be very imperative just to be patient. A lot of times this season, the bottom line has just been the strongest line. So I feel like we're going to see a lot of guys try to go to the bottom, manage their stuff, and try to make it to the end. And that's the biggest thing that I can stress. Make it to the end. With only 19 cars starting tonight, I feel like that's going to be a lot easier, where we've had fields that have been closer to 30 cars throughout the duration of this season. There's been a lot of guys making moves. I think you're going to see a lot of the veterans be smart, try to play it safe, and get the best finish they can.
Will be interesting to see as well. You mentioned the smaller field in comparison to what we've had here in the past. Last week, I don't think anybody had on their bingo card that Atlanta Superspeedway was where we were going to have our very first appearance of green flag pit stops here this year. With the smaller field here tonight, maybe get into the mentality of preparation for potentially green flag pit stops around the midway portion, maybe getting into the second half of this race here tonight. Going to be a much simpler pit road for these drivers to get onto than it was 1 week ago also.
No, and Atlanta was a very different track to be able to approach. Getting onto pit road, you could go a lot more aggressive than you expected, and I expected there to be a lot more mistakes. So absolutely, Atlanta was not the track that I expected to have that long of a green flag run at. I did not expect to be up there mixing it up in the top 4 the whole time. So this is just going to be a race, and no surprise to see Bronson Stafford already going for it on the high side. He's somebody that just wants to try to win and set himself up the best that he can for the championship. And that's the thing. You're going to have guys that are going to be playing it safe tonight, but then you're also going to have your guys like Bronson that are just like, I know I'm a great driver. I know I can take a push. I just want to get up to the front. And he's got a great pusher behind him in Matt Muir.
Yeah, Bronson Stafford coming off only his second top 5 on the season last week at Atlanta, where he came up runner-up to DJ Stagner. Because of that, though, finished up in the podium,
wow.
up in the wall, off the nose of Matt Muir. He's going to get hit from behind by the one, and Tellier's going to go around that probably, well, they technically saved it. They may not throw a yellow
We do
flag.
have the yellow flag
Yep,
out.
now the caution is out.
Well,
I'm
the
putting the
announcers
commentators. I was gonna say you enabled the commentators curse.
Yeah, so I've been in the car too much this season, and my bad, Matt. I really apologize for that. But when we look at this one, it's just going to be a matter of Matt just got on the right side on his bumper as they were going into the corner. Can't really do that. Nothing that Matt was trying to do intentionally, and then everybody else is just kind of along for the ride, trying to find their way. Tellier gets caught up with the 35, so we'll get a look here in just a second at what exactly caused that.
Think about maybe 4 cars getting collected up in this one, including the defending champion of the series, the one of Ryan Potter. I don't think anybody hit the 97 of Tellier. I think he kind of hit that
I
transition of the
think
banking of the corner to the flat of the apron, maybe.
he might have gotten hit from behind by the 35. We'll have to check. But yeah, absolutely. It's just a matter of Muir got on the right side of the bumper, which is a no-no, especially going into the corners. And as I said before, these cars this season cannot take pushes the way that they used to be able to. If you had 2 competent pushers in previous seasons, you could 2-car tandem pretty much for as long as you wanted to, or until the cars started to overheat. But this year, it's a matter of you better try to stay center, and even then, don't push me into the corner.
Yep, you were correct about the 35 getting to the back of the 97. Also, Andrew Siegel in the 5 looked like he got a little bit of contact out of that, as you see here with the
Oh yeah.
slow-mo and the zoomed-in look right there, as you said, on that right rear quarter panel. Stafford, very good that he was able to keep it up there into the outside wall. Most of the other stuff that occurred behind him was drivers trying to figure out where he was going to be by the time they got to him, kind of in reaction to the contact up ahead. Now, we saw there, before we cut to these replays, there was damage on the left side, on the left rear, especially on that 61. They have the faster pair available, but in terms of the damage sustained right there, not a reason to panic for the moment for Bronson Stafford to have to take that faster pair early in the going and still be up there in the pack.
No, I'm definitely going to say that. Well, really, it's just going to come down to what is the number that Bronson sees whenever he gets to pit road. I would be very surprised if he got something like a meatball out of that. So I'm going to bet that Stafford's just going to stay on pit road, try to get as much of this repaired the right way as he possibly can, which really just a surprising amount of damage to the rear of that car as well as the right side. He really got into the wall a lot harder than I suspected. It might just be a race now for Bronson that he's just going to have to try to get as much of it as repaired as he can on pit road, hang on to the field, and then later in the race, when the inevitable caution happens to set up that late race restart, that's when he's going to be able to go out there and use that fast repair.
A couple of Trap House teammates look like they'll be, if not nose to tail, on the front row, depending on what they determine here with the upcoming Choose car. Yeah, not the Choose cone, the Choose car. Through the magic of iRacing. Pulling some double duty here tonight is Joey Chapman. Not only are you up here commentating, but you're also going to be the Choose car out there. There it is. There's that Formula V car that's going to be out there. Drivers will swerve to left or right to determine which lane they want to be for the upcoming restart. Now, we've
Yep.
talked about this. You're not allowed to hit any of the cars out there.
No, exactly. I'm not allowed to hit any of the cars, no matter if somebody has made me angry this season. So I have to go out here, and we're going to make a really hard turn here to be able to get set up. And we're going to have just a great POV here of everybody coming down. So if somebody hits the choose cone this week, it's an immediate disqualification. There is no reason that a driver should be hitting
I
this.
was going to say, there's no Hans device. There's no roll cage
Nope.
on that thing. You're in trouble if somebody hits you.
I am thrilled for this. I've been waiting for this moment all season. This is why I wanted to be suspended.
Well, here we go. Let's see what drivers elect here as the pace car is going to hit you. So the pace car gets an EOL. Looks like Pokey to the bottom. Treywick will go to the top here. So they'll share the front row. Interesting, the leader taking that outside line here on the restart. Is there more momentum up there, or are they just going to try to maybe pull off the Joey Logano coined phrase, the okie dokie, on this restart?
I,
Where the
I
31 will let the 56 in.
I would suspect a little bit of the okie dokie there, but at the end of the day, I think it's just a matter of, let's see, I'm getting a little bit of direction here. Yeah, so really, I just think it's a matter of just you may want to try to control both lines or something like that. So it's going to be really interesting to see what drivers choose here. I would say an early wreck like that, guys are going to want to take it safe.
So Treywick is the leader of record right now. He'll be on the outside of the front row. Poteet in second on the inside. Chad Winstead, Ryan Potter, and Sebastian Miller are going to be the top five for the upcoming restart. Well, we got the opportunity here before these guys go green. Was going to mention before that first caution, this is the track, this is the venue, this is the event tonight that is going to set the table, let us know who is mathematically eligible for the championship in 2 weeks' time in the season finale at iRacing Superspeedway. Coming into tonight, 9 drivers were mathematically in the hunt for the points lead. Dylan Poteet, the points leader, coming in after his good run last week at Atlanta. 27 points over Connor Holden. Robert Kenny, who was the former points leader heading into Atlanta last week, is now third in points, 35 points out. Sebastian Miller has climbed up to fourth. He's 45 back. Blake Treywick, who's led all the laps so far, he is fifth in points, 59 points out. 74 points back is a tie for sixth between Sean Billman and the two-time winner, or two-time champion, I should say, Bronson Stafford. Shane Tyrion is 88 points back in eighth. And Benjamin White, who's had a tremendous last couple of starts, is ninth in points, 92 points out. Those drivers mathematically are in the hunt for the championship, but we've still got, what, 50 laps still to go. Here is Treywick. Did he miss a shift or something there? Because
somebody missed a shift for sure there.
everybody scattered there through the tri-oval. I'm assuming that would have been Treywick. Everybody.
Treywick just came over the radio and said that was the shifter. He might have had a few other choice words for it, but.
Oh boy. It's going to lose him the race lead. Poteet's going to go to the point now with Chad Winstead behind him. Look at the outside line. That's going to be the 83, Sebastian Miller. He's going to pick up Cam Barnes, Robert Kenny as well. 3 on the top, 2 on the bottom. Now Kenny's going to switch from top to bottom, and only 2 cars will be on that outside line. They're going to start getting freight trained through 3 and 4.
And that's the big thing here is when you have a shakeup on a restart like that. Once again, you have the early caution, you have somebody miss a shift on the restart, now it's just going to be a matter of, okay, am I going to drop to the back? I don't want to be a part of the next wreck. That seems pretty inevitable at this point.
Ryan Potter right there in the 1 car, of course, by virtue of being the defending champion, had the right to be the number 1 car here in Season 5, and he's 4th on that inside line. Has not made all the starts here this season, and obviously, because of that, would not mathematically be able to get himself into the hunt for back-to-back championships, but out there riding, maybe having some fun here tonight, and up there as usual, up inside of the top 5. When he won the championship last season, it kind of seemed to be his MO, where he would start at the back, wouldn't even set down a qualifying lap, would wait for everything to happen in the first half of the race, and then slowly, steadily would make his way forward and be up there at the close of the race.
An awful aggressive driving between Potter and Treywick in the 56. Lots of side drafting. I think they might have made a little bit of contact going across the start-finish line. It's been very typical this season. We've seen in previous seasons where drivers are going to want to kind of lean off, take their time, let things happen, but that just hasn't been the case at all this season. No surprise to see Winstead also up here at the front pushing Poteet. Winstead has found himself up front most every race this season. He's been a really reliable guy to have you push. And then we also see Cam Barnes up there in the 7. He's also been up front for a lot of races this season. He was the one that made the big move going into turn 1 in Atlanta, just trying to go for the win. So a lot of guys know what's at stake here.
We've talked about the unorthodox point system here, and there's a lot of drivers that are just outside of the championship hunt mathematically. With a good run tonight, they could get right back into it and be in the conversation in 2 weeks. I'm looking at guys like you just mentioned, Chad Winstead, Andrew Siegel, last year's Rookie of the Year, Mike Tellier, Cam Barnes, Matt Muir, Sam Dyer. These drivers all have a shot if they can finish at least up inside of the top 10 and even more so up inside of the top 5. The points payout that is given for drivers that finish inside of the top 10 that could put them into that conversation mathematically next time we head to the racetrack at Iverson Superspeedway in 2 weeks.
And talk about a oh, and Mike Tellier gets
Potter!
into the back of Potter. I was about to say, Tellier has been making a lot of moves so far, trying to get his way through the field, and just got too aggressive there. He tags Potter, and that's gonna trigger the mini one.
Matthew Rodriguez involved. He took a big hit from Cody Lamas. Jason Shu as well in the 3 got involved. And that 51, it is crab walking its way down to pit road here. A lot of suspension damage on that machine. There's the Bass Pro Shops Ford Mustang of Jason Shu. Started this race from the rear of the field. Rodriguez didn't start that much better, but had made his way up into the top 10 within the first 2 or 3 laps. And that's definitely going to be a faster pair for the Mike's Harder Lemonade Toyota.
When we started that lap, Mike Tellier was all the way in the back of the field. He was running back there with Bronson, who has a lot of damage, and he was just trying to pick his way through, trying to make a middle lane work, kind of slicing guys, forcing it 3 wide. Mike is a driver that whenever he sees a bit of a lane come open, if you leave one of these lanes open, he's going to go for it, and he typically gets it done cleanly. But right here, you're going to see whenever he goes into turn 3, I guess he was just trying to chase Potter up the hill and try to give him a push. I'm not entirely sure, but it doesn't matter if you hit a guy square or wherever on the bumper going into the corner. You're going to spin him out.
Yeah, we saw the first incident with Stafford and Muir, the contact into the right rear quarter panel. This one, kind of the
Yikes.
left rear quarter panel, but as you said, both cars were kind of traveling up the racetrack, and the contact was made as they were both shifting upwards. And man, there's the big hit there. Cody Lamas into Matthew Rodriguez. Mike Tellier going to be heading into iRacing Super Speedway, our season finale. He's the defending winner at that racetrack. He took the checkered flag back in race 4 a few weeks ago.
Yeah, and I'm not entirely sure what Tellier saw there. The one was moving up to about the middle lane. He was trying to get up on the high side, it looked like, to get in behind the 83 possibly. But Mike just followed him right up the hill and didn't lift at all and just got him loose. So there's nothing really that Potter could have done different there. But this is the wreck that's going to change everything in the race, because I'm going to assume about 3 or 4 cars are going to have to use a fast repair here. You mentioned the 51 of Rodriguez. He's definitely going to have to use a fast repair with the way that he was crab walking. Wouldn't be surprised if Mike had to use one, or Potter. But Bronson Stafford, who was just trying to run in the back and play it safe. Wow, what a hit.
Man.
Cody really got into him there, and that's going to mess up the 51 snipe. But the 61 of Bronson Stafford, he got caught up in that as well. So he's probably going to have to use his fast repair here. And this is where you could see the field split in 2. Guys could just go straight, just in a straight line. I mean, who knows?
Oh wow, that you're right. That was actually a bigger hit than I originally thought for Bronson Stafford when Rodriguez came up into his path. So yeah, to your point, not even halfway through this race, and at least 3, maybe 4 drivers going to have to take on that mulligan, that faster pair, in preparation for the remainder of this race, which may not even be 57 in regulation laps. We've ended up having a couple of times last few races where we've gone into overtime, so may have to prepare for more than 57 laps here this evening. Robert Kenny's going to inherit the race lead here. Kenny, of course, ended up having back-to-back podium finishes in the Dega Duels a couple of weeks ago. That allowed him to be the points leader heading into Atlanta, but didn't have the best of luck there. Dropped 2 spots in the standings, comes into this race 3rd in overall points. He's still looking for his first victory on the season as well, trying to extend our different winners on the season to 8 here this evening.
And here we go. I've got a straightaway view right now of the field. Obviously,
Take 2.
pace car barreling right down on me. He goes through me, and now we'll see if everyone can do this the right way. Some late decisions here. I see a lot of guys going towards the bottom.
It's almost like a 70-mile-per-hour game of chicken.
It really is. It is absolutely frightening, and it's just virtual. I shouldn't be scared at all.
Hey, doesn't matter if it's real life or virtual. You see a car barreling down in your direction, everybody's going to have their heart rate go up just a little bit.
Exactly, and I'm very interested to see how the field is going to choose to run this race from here on out. We've seen 2 really early wrecks, and this last one just kind of a bit of aggression, just trying to move your way through the field and make your own destiny. But now we've had guys probably have to burn their fast repairs. We've had guys just I don't know. I believe Bronson Stafford, I don't believe he's actually used his fast repair. So
Nope,
he's
I
going to
think
have
you're
to be
right.
safe here too.
Yeah, he's definitely still got that front end damage now on the left front. Still sporting that damage on the left rear from the first caution of the night when he was battling for the race lead. Had that contact between him and Matt Muir. Those two are going to line up nose to tail here on this restart, fourth and fifth in that inside line. And to your point, too, yeah, it will be interesting to see because our two cautions so far tonight have been bumps in the corners and you maybe drag the brake a little bit more, breathe the throttle a little bit more when you're pulled up to
It's
somebody's back bumper. But we've talked about this all season long. It seems like with these cars, you get a big run and you got to take it somewhere. You got to keep the momentum going because if you lift, somebody behind you is going to capitalize.
true in that sense, but also you got to understand what lap it is. We're coming to lap 15 out of 57. If you've been involved in both of these wrecks, and somebody like Bronson that hasn't been at fault in any of them, you're just along for the ride. So it's really going to be up to drivers now to just play it smart and understand you don't win the race here. We've still got a ways to go.
Green flag back in the air. Robert Kenny chose the inside line for that restart and may have gotten too good a jump. Already a car length over Cam Barnes, who's side by side with Sebastian Miller for second. Barnes is going to have DJ Stagner for his aid on the inside line. Miller's got Dylan Poteet, the last winner here at Daytona, up on that top side along with another Mustang of Chad Winstead in the six.
Pretty uniform going down the back straightaway. Bottom line still seems to be dominant, but right now the top line is going to hang around, especially with having about 5 cars in it. That's going to help keep it alive. That top line really needs cars this season to be able to stay up front with the leaders.
Saw those big hits off of turn 4 for our previous caution. Matthew Rodriguez, suspension broken, was still able to crab walk it down to his pit stall, which means he didn't have to call a tow. Cody Lamas was not so lucky with having to call a tow to pit road. He has currently scored 4 laps down in the 19th position, so he's going to have to rely on this to maybe have a couple more cautions to get back into the conversation. Rodriguez, yes, he had to take on a faster pair, but at least he's still on the lead lap.
One thing I'm already noticing from the drivers is a lot more space being given in the corners. 2 early on cautions, both of them caused by pushes in the corner, gone awry. Poteet right here is going to give a big shot to the 83 going into the corner. And then right there, he can kind of drag off. He's going to have the 6 kind of bubble pushing him from behind. And then he's going to get the run up to the 83's bumper coming down the front straightaway. And he's actually going to be able to push him past Kinney to lead the lap.
Some problems there on the inside line. Cam Barnes in the Kelly Blue Book Chevrolet blinking in and out there. Does that cause a problem for the draft? If that car is not there, is it as if there is no car behind the 10, and so that inside line loses momentum with one less machine?
In my experience, I don't necessarily see, and we see Cam Barnes dropping out of line here, kind of the right thing to do to ensure that he doesn't cause a wreck, so props to him for that. But it really, in my experience, hasn't caused issues in terms of we're going to lose momentum, but if anything, it forces the car that's behind that car to be a little more cautious and to be safe and say, okay, I don't know where they're going to show up, and I don't want to have them come back right inside of my car and potentially cause issues that way. So it can cause a stack up in the sense of everybody's just trying to play it safe, play it smart. And Kenny going up to the top lane with a big move, and you got to be careful with gutsy moves like that. You saw that 10 car was way out there with the rear end yawed out.
And definitely scrubbed off speed, brought Chad Winstead to his bumper very quickly. Could have been another uneven bump that has led to 2 cautions so far here tonight. Now Sebastian Miller and Dylan Poteet heading up that inside line. Sebastian Miller coming into this race 4th in overall points. It's been a career year for him. He is currently in the conversation for the championship. As a matter of fact, only 45 points back. If he were to take the checkered flag tonight, he could be heading into our season finale as the points leader. He, along with Holden, Kenny, Trewick, I believe, are all currently mathematically eligible with a checkered flag tonight to be the new points leader over Poteet if Poteet ends up finishing outside of the top 5.
A lot of momentum building up on the high side. We see a lot of cars choosing to go up there. Matthew Rodriguez, who had to use a fast repair, I believe, on that after that last wreck, he's up there running 3rd in that line. And wow, Ryan Potter gets right down beside the 5 car. Got to be careful there. You don't want to risk something like gap whack and potentially wreck the whole field, including yourself. but now Kenny's going to pull even with Sebastian Miller for the lead. And one thing that I've noticed from a lot of guys this season, a lot of the newer cars, not a lot of guys have necessarily ran super speedways in this car, and they want to try to control both lanes. Lots of moves up to the top, to the bottom when you're leading. Right now, we're seeing guys in this race playing it smart, controlling their line, and just letting the runs come as they are.
Yeah, we end up seeing last week at Atlanta Superspeedway, it kind of seemed like whatever lane you were in, you were pretty much committed because the field was, in a way, gridlocked. You couldn't move high, you couldn't move low, pretty much from the lead all the way back to the rear of the field. It was double wide. Here this evening, we're seeing a little bit more movement of drivers jumping from bottom to top, top to bottom. But for the moment here, it is looking like they're in a bit more of an orderly fashion. And still a little gridlock there with the side draft. Kenny there on the right rear, bringing Sebastian Miller back to him. It may depend on those cars towards the tail end of this group. I saw Jason Shuey, Mike Tellier, they were able to draft up to the tail end of this group. Kind of whichever lane they choose might be where the momentum goes up here at the front.
Still gridlocked. And once again, I'm very, very happy to see Poteet leaving a lot of room for Miller going into the corners, because if you back off going into the corner and then get right back on the throttle and you've got a car behind you, that's just going to give you a better run to get up to be able to give a big push to the leader. But you're going to have to be careful, because eventually you're going to get as good of a run as you want, and you're probably going to make the guy in front of you squirrely when you get to his bumper.
Now, Dylan Poteet and Sebastian Miller tied for most top fives on the season, 3 apiece in the previous 7 races. Matter of fact, Sebastian Miller sits second in top 10s, 5
Look
of
at
them,
this.
only to Sean Billman's 6.
Mike Tellier already being aggressive again, right there, kind of working it 3 wide. Now we're seeing a top lane come open with Ryan Potter, and then he's got the 56 of Blake Trawick right behind him. 43 kind of trying to commit to it, but can't fully get up to him, and I don't believe that line's going to work out right now.
Defending champ and tonight's pole sitter trying a 2-car tandem in that 3rd lane, kind of maybe a go where they ain't mentality. We'll see if they're able to keep this push forward. Right now you've got Potter 3 wide with Matthew Rodriguez, and I believe that was DJ Stagner down there in the bottom. That was around the 5th or 6th position. Now you can see here off of turn 4, they're losing momentum. They just don't have the numbers up on the longer way around the racetrack.
Definitely a numbers game right now. The first 2 lanes relatively even with the amount of cars that they have in them, and right now Potter is going to leave the 56 of Trawick hanging. He's going to drop down in front of Stafford, get behind Tellier, and if there's somebody that I would be fine. Oh, and Stafford just kind of pushes Potter out of the way and says, I want to try to get up behind my teammate. I don't want you in front of me. And we see Potter aggressive side drafts there. Yeah, oh, wow. I can tell you this.
Boy.
I can tell you this. Stafford just came over the radio, and he is not happy with the one of Potter. So I think we both know that that was a warning shot right there. I would love to come over race control right now and say, gentlemen, lap 23, we have 57 laps. Just take it easy. You're not going to win it yet.
Short tracks aren't the only place you can have short tempers. It happens just as much at over 200 miles per hour at a super speedway, and we're seeing it here. Lap 23, and already some hurt feelings, and we may see that story continue to play out as this race goes on. At the front, though, we talk about numbers. All of a sudden, Sebastian Miller and Dylan Poteet look around. There comes Chad Winstead down to the bottom. They were, for the moment, though, the only 2 cars on the inside line. They had about 4 or 5 cars in that middle line against them.
And now we're going to see 4 team cars on the top between Sky Motorsports and Hula Monkey getting connected up there. Stafford not really able to get up to the bottom of to the bumper of the 97, but now we see Matt Rod is kind of jumping out of line. Perhaps he's overheating and can't continue to push and just needs to get a little bit of air to his bumper. That's been a big issue this season as well, is you get up behind a guy, you're not really pushing them, but then you look down at your gauge, it's a lap and a half later, and you see them just flashing red. I actually blew an engine, I believe at Talladega, doing that. I was just having fun pushing Bronson, trying to get some air to my bumper, and next thing I knew, smoke was pouring out of the back of it.
Yeah, I think it was our second Talladega race, race number 5, where we were told that there was going to be some weather conditions. Drivers weren't going to be able to stay tucked up nearly as long because of the overheating possibilities. And with it here tonight, we saw Matthew Rodriguez backing out. Is it the nighttime conditions that are kind of leading to that? Obviously, a little bit more grip in the racetrack, a little bit more speed. That's what's causing these drivers to overheat, or is it just the setup itself?
it's just been the cars this season. We're not really sure what's necessarily changed, but handling's been a little bit of a struggle, overheating's been a struggle, and definitely being able to push has been a struggle. But if anything, it keeps the series fresh. It's presented unique challenges. The veterans in the field have definitely caught on, maybe not so much the newer guys. As we see Poteet is going to jump up to the high side, and he is going to leave Sebastian Miller to drop back, and he's getting a great push from Chad Winstead. They're probably going to drop down here with Robert Kinney's going to be getting a big push from the 97 of Mike Tellier, and we're going to have a good battle going down the front straightaway here. But if anything, I can only say that the control this season has been more in the driver's hand. It requires patience, and it's required guys to be smart. Unfortunately, at times, we haven't necessarily seen that.
Couple of Fords tandem to the front there with Poteet and Winstead. Now some Toyotas tandeming here with Kenny and Mike Tellier. How about the highest running Chevrolet? Roberto Ramirez there in that fraternity order of Eagles, number 42, third on that outside line, having a good run. We've seen him during the course of this season. He's been able to get himself up there into the top 10, top 5. Actually, I believe it was one of the Dega Dual races. He closed it out with a top 5 finish. He's been doing very well here this year, second full-time season in the Baadteshop Superspeedway Series, and maybe he could get his first career victory here tonight.
And top line definitely not so organized right now. About a car length and a half separating Robert Kinney and Mike Tellier. Tellier trying to get a push here from Roberto Ramirez. Wow, that should not have been a mouthful like I made it out to be. And that's going to allow Kenny to drop back to fourth here. But we see another charge coming from the high side. We've got about 6 cars linked up.
Ryan Potter's up there. Looked like maybe it was Matthew Rodriguez also up there in the 51, trying to get something to work there on that top line. Bronson Stafford also up there in the 61 machine. And then you've got other drivers that are just kind of riding towards the back there. I noticed DJ Stagner kind of threw out the parachute about 5-6 laps ago, dropped to the tail end of this group. He's not pulled up to the back bumper of anybody, just kind of lying in wait, preserving, looking for 2 wins in a row.
And I'm not so sure of what's happening here, but Tellier has been struggling mightily to get up to the bumper of the 10. I'm not sure if Ramirez isn't giving him the pushes that he'd like. I definitely see some damage to the bumper, so perhaps Ramirez is a little bit worried about what kind of pushes he's going to give to Tellier there. But now we see he's finally closed the gap. But there was about a lap and a half there where it was a car length to a car length and a half between the leaders on the high side.
Yeah, in terms of the drafting at these racetracks, where does the responsibility really lie in terms of moving that line forward? Is it the second car in line, or is it the third, fourth car in line?
Well, it really falls on everyone. For the leader, it's important if you are leading a line, don't mirror drive. Try to hold a straight wheel, hold one line, because that's going to make it easier for the car behind you to be able to give you a square push and to give you as big of a push as he possibly can without having to guess, okay, I think he's going to go left here or something. So we'll take a look right here from Tellier as we go in through turns 1 and 2. He's kind of leaning back here. This is exactly what he's supposed to do. He's leaning back. The high side's going to get a big bunch of momentum here. And he's going to deliver a big push to Kenny down the back straightaway, and that's what's going to allow them to be able to take the lead going into turn 3. That's exactly how the second place car in a line is supposed to be able to approach it. As for the cars, say, for example, the 42 and the 51 and third and fourth, you kind of just want to bubble the cars in front of you. You don't want to push them. You don't want to create a stack up in your line, because that's a lot of times where a stack up will come from with guys being way too aggressive. And Mike Tellier, he's reporting that his car has gotten way too hot here, and we saw that was just after about a lap and a half of pushing. So he's going to go up to the high side here. Roberto is going to get under him and be able to take over the pushing duties for Robert Kinney.
He's going to stall out that outside line for a moment until they can all get formed back up. Dylan Poteet out in front. He ended up picking up his first win in the season. The last time we were here at the Daytona International Speedway, led a race high 26 of the 68 laps, and Dylan Poteet was in the championship hunt last year, was a multi-time winner, looking to head into iRacing Superspeedway as a multi-time winner once again, maybe going for the Daytona sweep. Right behind him, though, Chad Winstead. We mentioned that he's one of those drivers, half dozen drivers just outside of the top 9 that with a victory here tonight, he would be right up there mathematically in the hunt for the championship in 2 weeks at iRacing Superspeedway. Sebastian Miller right there as well, same deal for him. A lot of drivers hungry right for the moment. They're willing to push that 31 the inside line, but we have to remind everybody that here in this series, you see right there, DJ Stagner, I don't think this is necessarily to make a move. Well, maybe it is.
I don't know if I would go to the grass to make a move. That
Yeah,
was
I'm
a
not
bit peculiar
that was
there.
awfully low. I was going to bring, I guess he's kind of showcasing, giving me a little bit of a precursor to my point. That double yellow line is a guideline in Super Speedway Series that you cannot go down there and advance your position. Not in this series. We've seen it at iRacing Super Speedway. We didn't see it as much in Atlanta, except maybe on the D-shaped front straightaway. Talladega, we've seen it. It is not considered out of bounds. You can go down there to advance your position, but maybe as much as we did at Talladega, we probably won't see that come into play until we get much, much later into this race, maybe not even until the final lap.
Well, if there's anyone that I know is willing to be able to use that double yellow line rule is Matthew Rodriguez.
Yes.
When he sees that run coming on the final lap, the brain shuts off and the instinct takes over. Whether it's good instinct or bad instinct, I'll let him tell us that.
We've seen Bronson Stafford, specifically at iRacing Super Speedway, has been a huge advocate of using that apron on the back and front straightaway as well. May see him do that when we go to iRacing Super Speedway.
And Alron's going to go ahead and try to take it 3 wide here. That or he might be overheating. I'm not entirely sure. And that's just going to be a...
I thought for a moment there he was going to stack up Bronson Stafford. I didn't know if Stafford thought he was making a move and went up there to the top.
And that's the thing when you're leading a line like Robert Kinney right here, especially the top line that's really fighting to try to stay relevant with the bottom line. As I said before earlier in the broadcast, the bottom line has been very dominant this season with the changes to the car. We're not entirely sure why, but the bottom line has just been better. But when you have enough guys on the top side, you're going to be able to make it work up there. The biggest issue, as we see Roberto Ramirez dive to the inside, that's going to leave Tellier to get up behind Kinney. But the biggest thing is you're going to have guys that are going to push, but you can only do that for a lap and a half before you start overheating. And I think Kinney has just said at this point, all right, I've had enough. I kind of want to save some fuel here. If we get some green flag pit stops potentially, I just want to be able to sit back here and save my stuff.
Looks like Mike Tellier's going to drop back there as well. You bring up the possibility of green flag pit stops. They went 45 laps last week at Atlanta Super Speedway, a 1.5 mile racetrack before they had to hit pit road. Granted, we've had a couple of yellows here, so the fuel window extended a bit, but it would be interesting to see just exactly when these drivers would have to come to pit road, and maybe depending on what the window is, maybe kind of split it in half, come to pit road halfway through that fuel window.
And we see guys pitting right now.
There we go. It's like the 42 of Roberto Ramirez is going to be the first one in. Look at him hard on the brakes there. Rear tires sliding, back ends nearly spinning out.
Yeah, Potter had to be careful there, but that's one of the biggest things is you can really tell who's a decent driver and who's a good driver based on who's able to save their stuff whenever they get on the pit road like that. That's where you can see a lot of accidents happen of guys not necessarily knowing how to woe it down properly. If you start sliding your tires, how do I collect it and not just kill the guy in front of me? This group's going to get off pit road relatively smoothly, and I wouldn't be surprised to see the Sky Motorsports and Hula guys pitting right now. And it looks like that's going to be the case. I hear a lot of guys saying pitting in right now.
See about any of the drivers up towards the front, like the Fords of Poteet and Winston. Looks like they're coming in as well. This is where
and a lot of guys coming in hot here.
This is an art. People don't realize how difficult it is. It's like air traffic control. Everybody got different braking zones. You got to figure out which lane each driver is going to take for entrance onto pit lane. A lot of times, too, drivers that have a pit stall further down towards the exit pit road, they'll take that wider over to the right angle into pit lane. Drivers that have an earlier pit stall will try and get down to the left, closer to that inside wall. So there's a lot of maneuvering, a lot of communication that has to go in to green flag pit stops.
And it really is all about give and take coming into pit road. When you know you're coming in with a big group like that, the leader can really push it. If you've got no one really in front of you, yes, you can push it. When you're behind, you just want to give credence to the cars around you so you make sure that you're not the one causing the accident. But occasionally you're going to look in your mirror and you're going to see, oh, wow, there's a torpedo coming right at me. I better get out of Dodge.
So these pit stops taking place, nearing 20 laps to go. One would have to wonder if the fuel window opened for them to maybe be able to make it the rest of the way, or if the numbers are correct, if indeed they absolutely had to pit right then, they may have to come to pit road another time before the conclusion of this race.
It's going to be very interesting to see. I'm going to say that the window probably opened for them to be able to make it on fuel for the rest of the race. And then it just becomes a matter of, all right, who's going to be the first one to go, and then who's going to be the ones to undercut. And we see Stafford getting a great run to the back of Winstead right here. He chooses to not really do anything with it. He didn't have Kenny up behind his bumper like he probably wishes he had. But no surprise now to see this Sky Motorsports bunch really right together, getting around the slower car of Matt Rodriguez, Cam Barnes, those guys just coming off of pit road.
Yeah, it looked like the 7, the 51, and the 5 all were the last cars to hit pit lane. We'll have to wait and see where they all cycle around to as Poteet goes back to the point. Tellier will slot into second, Stafford now to third.
Well, you say slot into second, but I think Tellier wants to try to get a lap led himself, but he just doesn't really have the help up there, and he's going to fall back to Winstead.
Has also got that damage on the front end of his race car from the second caution. Maybe makes that car a bit of a parachute when he gets out to the lead. Poteet gets loose there with Stafford all over his back bumper. Stafford gonna muscle his way to the point. And correct me if I'm wrong, looks like he took the faster pair on because that looks like a brand new race car.
It absolutely is a brand new race car, and that was a bit of an aggressive move from Stafford there, really going into the corner. Not really sure if I would have taken the risk there because the risk-reward assessment would tell me that I would probably wreck the 31, but Stafford would probably tell me that's a skill issue on my part, so he gets it done. He's going to start leading laps, and that's going to send Poteet back to around 6th or 7th place.
Well, Stafford's hungry. We mentioned that he struggled this year, only 2 top 5s in the first 7 races on the season. He's not gone to victory lane. His last victory was back midway portion of the season, season 4, back in June of 2023. So it's been a winless streak for him, a 2-time champion. He wants to get back into the conversation for a 3rd championship title here in this series. Now he's going to have to contend with a pretty well-formed outside line there heading into 3. Matt Muir leading that line.
That was about a split second in time from Matt Muir. If he would have waited any longer to be able to make that move to the high side, he absolutely would have gotten wrecked. Also great awareness by Winstead right there to realize, okay, he's jumping up. If I don't let off the throttle, I'm going to wreck him, myself, and probably the rest of the field.
And Matt Muir, one of our 7 previous winners on the season, won the season opener at Talladega Superspeedway. His finishes as of late have not been all that good, so right now, despite the checkered flag, he would not be in the championship hunt, but again, is in that category of drivers with a decent run tonight or another victory would be right back into that picture. Man, look at how loose he is right there. I don't even think that was a bump from the 6. That you talked about the handling issues with this new car that drivers have dealt with this season. That seemed to be the case right there. Straight line down the back straightaway, and the back end of that car was fishtailing.
Well, taking a look at a replay myself here, it definitely looks like Winstead just got a big run going into the back of Matt Muir there. And he was square right in the middle, exactly as you'd want it to be. Perhaps he maybe could have let off the throttle just a little bit to be able to get not as aggressive of a run on him. But thank God everybody was able to hang on to it there, because when a wreck starts up there, I can tell you it would probably have been in the double digits of guys that would have been involved.
Look at DJ Stagner. Oh, I thought he was going to try and shoot the gap there between Sam Dyer and Mike Tellier. Thought better of it, backed out, and slots back in behind the powder blue 35, but drivers here, as we're starting to approach 10 laps to go, where you can kind of sense it. You can feel the intensity picking up. Drivers, the wheels turning in their heads, preemptively figuring out moves that they can make here, as they know that we're getting down to the nitty-gritty. It's go time.
Gridlocked right now, 2 by 2. Matt Muir leading the way. Bronson Stafford in second, Chad Winstead in third, Robert Kinney fourth. And then from there, it's going to change about every inch of the racetrack about who's running where. And that's the thing right now. It's all a momentum game. The high line is going to get the run out of turn 2. They're going to pull ahead. It's going to be up to the second place car on the bottom line to be able to give a push to the leader. They'll probably pull even on the front straightaway. When you have a field that's gridlocked like this, everybody kind of you have the same momentum on top and bottom, same number of cars. There's nothing you can really do. Right now, it's all about good pushes versus bad pushes. And at the end of the day, it is getting down late in the race, but you can change your fate in a matter of 2 laps here. They don't have to get aggressive. just yet. You just need to be in the draft.
Well, back-to-back weeks, we've seen a round of green flag pit stops. The pit stops here tonight, though, not working out for a trio of drivers. Jason Shuey, you see him right there on the same straightaway as the leaders. They're about to catch him, put him a lap down. Andrew Siegel was one of the 3 last drivers to come onto pit road. He has since lost the draft along with the defending champion, Ryan Potter. I want to go back to that point you were talking about these drivers getting gridlocked in the closing stages. I mean, we know that as we get towards the end of this race, drivers are going to try and maybe get that little bit extra out of their race cars. How often does that lead to that second car in line? We see Kenny behind Stafford. We see Winstead behind Muir to maybe keep the bumpers locked up just a little bit longer. Maybe try and make the shove a little bit harder to get that momentum going. How much frustration comes into play when you're gridlocked like this?
Well, if there's one thing I do whenever I'm in the position of the second place car in line, especially getting late in the race, you're absolutely right. I just want to find a way. How can I be as aggressive with my pushes as possible? But it's been so tough to do that this season with the overheating issue. So typically, I love being able to push a guy like Robert Kinney or Bronson Stafford. Stafford can take just about any push that I give him. But the problem is I can do that for about a lap and a half, and then next thing I know, I'm either having to drop out of line, or if we have a little more space, I'm trying to just get some air to my nose, and if anything, that's just going to negate everything that I'm doing. So right now, it's really just a matter of playing your cards close to the vest, making sure you're going to get there to the end, because nothing you're going to do right now is going to win you the race.
Take a look at this shot from high above on the back straightaway. Any of these drivers in this lead pack, as we're approaching 10 laps to go from Daytona, have a shot at this victory. Part of the battle is obviously winning this race. The other half of the battle is positioning yourself in the right area to be able to win the race. The last couple of races we've had, specifically the Dega Duels, the iRacing Superspeedway prior to that, the wrecks we had in the closing stages were right up at the front of the field, and only a handful of drivers, actually back to iRacing Superspeedway, only one driver was able to get away. So it's not necessarily about being in the right place to be able to make a move for the win. It may necessarily be being in the right place to avoid the big one when and if it happens in the closing stages.
And the feeling that I'm getting right now when I see the cars bunched up like this and this many guys still contending for the win, I better make sure that my Formula V is ready to go. Engine still works, tires are still up.
Engine warmed up.
Because I guarantee you this is not going to go green to the end.
Got some drivers here that we haven't talked about all night that could be some sleepers there at the tail end of this pack. How about that number 43, John Peterson? And, well, I was going to say his name, so I guess the preemptive commentator's curse, Sean Billman there. He just got the wall through the tri-oval. Both of those drivers have been very quiet here this evening, but they execute on the green flag pit stop. They're up here in this lead pack, have a shot at this thing if it all breaks loose in front of them, but that contact for Sean Billman looks like he's going to lose momentum. Maybe DJ Stagner falling back here to pick up a teammate, try and get him back up here into this lead group.
I can also tell that those guys might also be sensing something is coming. We see a third lane trying to develop on the high side. Cam Barnes having some blinking issues again, but he's going to show right back up, blinking some more. Now he's gone and he's falling back. So now that's just pretty much going to leave Peterson all to himself up there. Matt Muir has a decent little lead, pulling back to Winstead here. Stafford and Kinney just playing it safe on the bottom. And here's the great thing. Team control at the very front of the field. Stafford and Muir, they're not going to try to race each other too hard. It's all about what the guys behind them are getting. Now, Bronson has direct communication with Robert Kinney. Matt Muir doesn't have that with Winstead, so it might just be a matter of he's hoping that Winstead just gets the point, just says, hey, let's ride for now. We don't have to get too aggressive. We see DJ Stagner. He's trying to get back up to that third line right now and try to make something work up high. These guys understand it's under 10 laps to go. I may not be able to win it now, but maybe it's time to start positioning myself.
Yeah, a little bit of control up there at the front. You've got Matt Muir and Bronson Stafford out of Sky Motorsports. You got the Hula Monkey Motorsports car of Robert Kenny, an alliance team with Sky Motorsports there on the inside of row number 2. And then right behind them, Sam Dyer, a single car team, but runs a lot with the Hula Monkey and Sky Motorsports cars, so maybe another Alliance car to be able to help out here is, how about that top side? John Peterson, he's found a new drafting partner. That's DJ Stagner, and they're making it work with a two-car tandem. Look at the ground they're making up on the back straightaway.
I don't love this, but they're making it work. It works until it doesn't. Daytona's very narrow. Guys are going to be throwing side drafts. Stafford, this is going to allow the bottom to get the momentum. Stafford has about a car length lead now.
Sebastian Miller moved up to that third lane as well. Here you see the middle and outside lines draw back to Stafford through the straightaway. Kenny trying to hold the bottom. Little contact there between the 72 and the 43. You just can sense it here as they cross the line for 7 laps to go.
The momentum is absolutely picking up. Only 3 cars on the high side, but that's really just dragging that middle line back. Stafford doesn't really have much help from Robert Kinney, but he is able right now to maintain the lead. But Winstead is going to give a big push to Muir down the back straightaway, trying to stay straight on him so he doesn't spin him out.
Winstead's maybe been one of the best pushers on the night. We saw him helping Dylan Pote to get to the lead earlier on in this race. Now helping Matt Muir stay even with Bronson Stafford in the closing stages of this one. Dead even between the two. Again, maybe a little edge to the Matt Muir machine here at the line. John Peterson looks like that third lane is fizzled out a bit. He and Stagner, they're kind of stalled out there around 3 wide for the 5th position. Maybe they can get going again, but the 64 can only maybe keep himself locked up to that back bumper for a limited period of time before he starts to see that water temperature spike.
And look who's already trying to get back into the mix. Sean Billman has already worked his way back up to the pack. When these guys got 3 wide, especially with Matt Rodriguez being a little bit off the pack, that allows him to be able to pull up. This is slowing the pack down when they're running like this, so he was able to get right back up there. So not as detrimental as he thought, perhaps, whenever he hit the wall, but now it's just going to be a matter, what lane do I go with? And quite honestly, if I'm Billman, the bottom is gridlocked, the top is gridlocked, or pardon me, the middle is gridlocked. I'm probably just going to go to the high side here and say, screw it, I'm going to try to make that lane go as fast as I can, 3 by 3 by 3, and they're not wrecking.
We have only had 3 of our previous 7 races finish under regulation. 4 of them have gone to overtime. Not sure which side of the coin tonight's race is going to be on, but right now it's kind of looking like we may have 5 overtimes here this season. Still 3 by 3 all the way through the field. As this time by, they'll be coming to 4 laps to go. We're seeing 3 wide. We may be calling 4 wide by the end of the night.
And a lot of respect being given throughout the field right now. I got to give a lot of props to these drivers to be able to run 3 by 3 like this. And we see contact in the middle of the pack. The 83, Sebastian Miller into the wall. He might have made a little bit of contact right there with the 06 machine. But we're going to stay put and we're going to stay green.
Kept it going, still under power, kept it straight, never spun, so officials keep the green flag out. That kills that whole third lane. John Peterson now in no man's land. Looks back in his rearview mirror. His drafting help is gone. He'll have to find a way back in line here potentially. No, he's going to try it all by himself. He's going to get to that right rear of Pote, try and side draft him into the corner. Meanwhile, at the front, maybe that outside line getting kind of broken up, that might help the middle line with Matt Muir draw back even with Bronson Stafford again.
And it was just a bit of a racing deal there on the front straightaway. The 83 and the 97, both kind of trying to side draft off of one another, going through the tri-oval. Might have been a little bit of gap whack, but if there was contact, it was nothing intentional. Props to everyone for holding on to it there and for not wrecking. But wow, 3 laps to go. We've still got about 12 guys that could absolutely win this race right now, maybe more.
4 miles left here as they hit the back straightaway. Now a third lane again. It's the Fords, but roles are reversed. It's going to be Pote pushing Winstead. Winstead helped Pote get to the lead midway through this race. We'll see if the Blue Ovals can counter the Toyotas on the inside.
Winstead has been playing it smart all night. He's been very clean. He's been a great pusher, but now he's saying it's my turn and I want to try to get up there. It's going to be up to Pote to be able to try to hold it in a straight line and get him good pushes. But DJ Stagner giving great pushes to Matt Muir. 2 laps to go.
DJ Stagner trying to win at a 3rd different racetrack in his career. He had a Talladega win last year. He won last week at Atlanta Superspeedway. He's yet to win at Daytona. He's now the drafting help for the 72. The Fords are lined up on the top with Looks like Blake Treywick and Cam Barnes joining the 6 and the 31. 6 got the wall there. You see the smoke off the right rear. Doesn't look like it killed his momentum, though. And now Tellier slots in behind the 72. He's going to work with his teammate. Meanwhile, Stafford continues to just hold that double yellow line, hoping everything happens behind him.
Bronson Stafford just absolutely playing it safe here. He has undying help from the 10 right behind him as we take the white flag. These guys have held on to it. We're going to finish this race in regulation, and we're about to be 3-by-3 once again for the lead.
About 12 cars took the white. How many will be left when we come back around for the checkered flag? Still 3 wide. Tellier shooting the middle. Roberto Ramirez, his help. Up top, it's Matt Muir with DJ Stagner. On the bottom, still the 61 of Stafford with Robert Kenny. Muir looks like he's getting the momentum down the back straightaway. He might be clear going into 3.
Not necessarily clear. DJ Stagner's going to get into the wall. We see contact. The 97 can't hang on to it. It's going to be a 4-car battle for the lead. The 35 pushing the 10. What's he going to do here?
Robert Kenny, does he go to the top or to the apron? He looks up top. It's going to be Stafford throwing the block, and Bronson Stafford is going to hang on. The champ goes back to victory lane. First time here in Season 5. Bronson Stafford is going to win the Derbies. We do not have the meets 150 at Daytona.
Wow, what an absolutely phenomenal run to the finish there. I cannot believe that these guys ran that long, 3-by-3. We saw a few issues with guys getting into the wall. Everybody held on to it. My God, what a finish. Bronson Stafford, how about it?
The never give up attitude. 2 cautions here tonight, and Stafford was in both of them, but was able to fight his way up to the front, especially after the faster pair on the cycle green flag pit stops. And once he got to the race lead, he had challenges to the outside, but he never came off that double yellow line, and that was his ticket to getting back to the checkered flag. 8th different driver to go to victory lane here this season.
And really just a matter of going for it on the last lap that caused that final yellow. The 97 of Mike Tellier, the back end of that car was all beat up. The 42 tried to get in behind him, gave him a great push going into the corner, and you really got a feel for Matt Muir there. He was absolutely a victim of gap whack, and perhaps if the 97 hadn't doored the 10 right before he wrecked, perhaps Kenny could have had a better run, but a great job by the 35 to give him a push to try to give him a shot to win the race. Maybe if Kenny had waited just a second longer to be able to pull out and side draft to 61, he could have got it. Nothing he could have really done, but man, what an absolutely great run by Bronson Stafford. You would have thought earlier in this race that he was going to be one of the guys that would be screwed at the end of this race because he's involved in the first 2 cautions, nothing that he did, and what do you know? He's in victory lane.
Joey, you're off the hook for the commentator's curse back in the beginning stages for that 61.
Exactly.
Look out for those drivers up there at the top of the point stands as well, because with Bronson Stafford, Robert Kenny finishing up in the podium here tonight, they're going to definitely be mathematically eligible for the championship in 2 weeks' time. Ooh, 43 of John Peterson kind of coming
A
up
little
off the
airtime.
ground there. Yeah, how about that? Oh, wow, talk about airtime, Mike Tellier.
Not-
Back end of that car going up in the air.
And once again, you got to feel for Matt Muir there. He's just trying to go for the win, and he is a victim of gap whack. There may have been 4 or 5 feet between them whenever it happened. Maybe I'm exaggerating that a little bit, but definitely not the situation that he was looking for there at the end. He loses his help. He's going to be a victim of gap whack, and he doesn't get the finish that he maybe deserved there. But once again, when you look through the field here, a lot of guys that you can just tell were absolutely going for it. Stafford with the no quit mentality. Robert Kenny is one of those guys. He doesn't have to win, but I always see him up there at the front. If he somehow wins the championship next week, don't be surprised.
Yeah, I think we'll have to see where Poteet ended up finishing in this race. I know DJ Stagner was collected up in this wreck. I think Poteet might have gotten a piece of this wreck
Look,
as well. So,
and you'll see right here. So yeah, not
wow,
the 4
yeah,
or 5
nowhere
feet that I was
close.
making it out to be, but it was absolutely egregious, the amount of space between them whenever that happened. And at this point, if you're Mike Tellier, who's just flying through the air right there over the 43 car, that's just a situation where you're keeping your foot on the throttle. It's the last lap. You're trying to hold it as straight as possible to be able to try to limp your car across the start finish line.
You saw Poti was collected up in that incident. Sebastian Miller, we saw, was involved in that incident just prior to the white flag waving. So Robert Kenny, I don't know, maybe the second place finish here tonight gets him back to the top of the point standings. Connor Holden wasn't in the field here tonight. We'll have to wait and see how it all shakes out. But here's on board with Poti. I mean, he's third car in that middle line. You're pretty much boxed in. You just
Yep.
got to hope that a lane opens up.
And this is the worst feeling in the world right there when you're caught in the middle of the pack, you're trying to go for the win. You realize at that point, okay, I'm probably not going to win it unless everybody wrecks in front of me and I somehow get through it. And right there at that point, you can definitely tell he recognized this just isn't my night. And how about for Matt Muir there? He sees nothing but clean skies in front of him, and next thing you know, he's getting whiplashed around and he's going to try to limp it back across the start finish line. You've really got to feel for him. He ran a great race tonight.
Yeah, probably at that time there with that onboard didn't have a clue that there wasn't really any visible contact. When he gets out of the car and sees what we were able to see, probably it's going to hurt a lot more. And you know, you had that wreck out of turn four. The race back to the start finish line was very important for all those damaged race cars because for the top 10, there's a points payout of anywhere between 75 to 10 points. From 11th on down through 20th, they get a payout of 5 points, and then drivers that finish outside the top 20 only get 1 point. So those points very important for all those drivers involved in different situations. Stagner and Poti trying to keep themselves in the championship conversation. We'll have to see how it all shaked out in terms of the official finishing results. But that wreck could have championship implications by the time the checkered flag waves when we head to iRacing Superspeedway for the finale.
It absolutely does have championship implications. And one thing that absolutely changed that last lap wreck was Robert Kinney's ability to be able to potentially compete for the win. Right before the contact with Tellier, when Tellier got pushed by the 42, Kinney was running 193 miles per hour, and right after that, he dropped down to 189 miles per hour. That 4 mile per hour difference, I guarantee you, was the difference between finishing second and being able to go door to door with the 61 across the start finish line.
Well, we had fireworks on the racetrack here tonight. Fireworks now above the racetrack, shooting up there on the back straightaway. Drivers have climbed from their race cars. It's time to get some thoughts of our podium finishers. Let's see if we can talk with the driver that brings it home third place here tonight. Second podium finish on the season for him. Let's see if we can talk with Sam Dyer. Hey, Sam, it's Joey and Seth up here in the FRN booth. You got us?
I got you guys.
Well, we knew when we saw them, you guys stacked up three wide, about 3, 4 rows deep. Something was going to have to give. You guys made it to the white flag, but then 3 and 4, that's where we saw the trouble happen. But you were in the right place at the right time to be able to sneak through that and a shot maybe at this victory if something had gone wrong between the top two. Walk us through that final run to the checkers because it must have been as nerve wracking for you down behind the wheel of that 35 as it was for us up here observing.
Oh, it absolutely was. I mean, I had to use my fast repair under that green flag pit stop, so I didn't have a safety net to lean back on. And that whole entire time, it was the first time this season where I've actually decided I'm gonna actually push. I'm gonna be up front. I'm gonna challenge and try to get a good finish instead of just lucking into one with the wreck. And so it was nerve wracking those final 15 laps of trying to battle side by side. But man, those final 2 laps, Kenny was over the radio saying he was close to blowing up. I was getting close on the white flag. It was just hold the throttle, hope for the best, and we survived through.
But definitely a nerve-wracking run to the finish. We saw 3 by 3 by 3 throughout the entire field. A lot of guys doing a lot of give and take there. Were you surprised in that last run that we didn't have a caution flag? We were just kind of sitting up here waiting for the moment that all of that was going to unravel.
I mean, absolutely. That was something that I think all of us were expecting, especially when we saw the third lane was moving a lot faster than we expected it to be. It kind of made things okay. These last 8 laps are going to be intense, and we're gonna hold on and hope for the best because Bronson also used his fast repair. So Bronson and myself, we both were just saying, let's if they wreck, hopefully they wreck to the wall and not down on us.
Well, one of the drivers that came into this race needing a good run to have a mathematical shot at the championship next week. You get the third place performance here tonight. Got through that final wreck, brought it home in one piece. Congratulations on the job well done here tonight, Sam. It'll be interesting to see how the points shake out heading into our finale at iRacing Super Speedway. But before we let you go, we'll give the opportunity to thank some sponsors, do some shout outs.
Yeah, I want to say thank you to all the drivers on Sky Motorsports and Hula Monkeys as we were working together here tonight. Great job on the team as a whole. I want to say thanks to my mom and dad on the side of the car, and thanks guys for broadcasting and to all the admins that helped out throughout this season. I know it's been a long one, but we're happy that we're almost through it all, and can't wait for next week.
Sam Dyer, your third place finisher here tonight at the World Center of Racing. Once again, congratulations and best of luck in that upcoming finale.
Thanks. Good luck, guys.
Let's see if we can now get a hold of the driver that brings it home in second place. Potentially could be the new points leader heading into the finale at iRacing Super Speedway. See if we could dial up Robert Kenny. Hey, Robert, it's Joey and Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
Yeah, I gotcha.
I'll tell you what, this 10 car has been very consistent here down the home stretch. Had those back to back podium finishes at Talladega. A little bit of a bump in the road last week at Atlanta, but you bring it back again here tonight. Second place at the World Center of Racing Daytona. Had a shot at that victory as well there with everything culminating behind you. What little more did you need to be able to edge that 61 at the line, put this 10 car in victory lane?
Oh, I needed about 40 degrees cooler engine and water. That would have helped me a lot. Because that entire last lap, it was with Hula Monkey and Sky Motorsports. We always have a team role where we work together until the last lap. Then it's every man for himself, but don't wreck each other. And that entire last lap, I was pegging the both oil and water temps. So I just didn't have the engine at the end, but it's it's great to claw back at the overall points lead with nice finish.
So a very uniform run to the finish. We saw guys running 3x3 throughout the entire field. Definitely surprised that everybody was able to keep clean, especially going in between turns 3 and 4 on the final lap. You were tucked behind Bronson the entire time. You were definitely giving great pushes. Do you think the difference for you coming to the finish was where you got doored by the 97 right as that wreck started to form? Do you think maybe if you didn't have the contact there that you would have absolutely had the chance to race him side by side to the finish line?
I mean, it probably did hurt a bit because it damaged the right front a bit and the door, so the car wasn't as streamlined. But in the end, I don't think it really mattered much. I'm just glad I kept the car straight after the contact. Because the main issue is I just did not have power at the end to make a full run. I made the run I could and was trying to move Bronson up a bit so I could then get under him, but by the time I would have been able to get under him, it was already too late, and we were already at the finish line.
Well, before you took the green flag here tonight, mathematically, you were still in the conversation for the points lead and the championship with the second place performance tonight. May be the points leader heading into iRacing Super Speedway. A great performance for you here tonight. Been very consistent, as I said, here down this handful of home stretch races and may be able to get that one spot better when we get to the finale in 2 weeks' time. Robert, before we let you go, we'll give it the opportunity to thank some sponsors and do some shout outs.
Oh, I just want to thank you guys for coming on every week and broadcasting the league admins for dealing with everyone and their complaints and everything every week. Obviously, teammates for helping me out. I was almost short on fuel because I stayed out that last caution, and then we went green to the end. Um, yeah, it's- hopefully, we can be one spot. Well, keep the top spot if we do come out this week with it. Unlike season 2 and season 3, where I finished second and fourth in points. So hoping for that first championship.
So now that you go into this final race, you're definitely going to be in contention for that championship. Going to be double points on the line next week. Does that affect your strategy any? Do you see yourself trying to be a little more conservative throughout the race to try to keep it all in one piece and not have to burn a fast repair? Or is it just a matter of, I want to win a championship, so I'm going to go out there and do whatever I have to try to come out on top?
It's throughout this whole season. It seems like you need to be top 3 or 5 on the last lap to even have a shot at winning. So obviously, you still want to try to do that, but keeping the car clean through the first half, 3/4 of the race have always been uh, the ideal. And I what I'm doing is working for me, so I think I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing and let the cards fall where they may. hopefully we come out with a win to then tie Bronson and Mike for most wins in the league again. But we'll just have to see where the chips fall.
Well, we're certainly looking forward to it. You got about a week to be able to think about it with the off week, and then we'll be at the iRacing Super Speedway for that finale in 2 weeks. Second place run for you here tonight, though. Great run, Robert. Congratulations and best of luck in that championship battle once again at the end here of season 5.
All right, thank you very much. Hopefully, I'll be talking to you guys in 2 weeks.
Absolutely. Robert Kenny, the runner up finisher here this evening at Daytona, finishes just about maybe a little less than a car length behind this driver, your 8th different winner on the season. Let's dial up the 2-time champ, Bronson Stafford. Hey, Bronson, Joey, and Seth up here in the FRN booth. You got us?
I gotcha.
I don't know, but maybe complaining's getting you some results. Beginning of March, you're saying, "Man, I'm just having absolutely no luck here in this series." But a couple of consistent runs in the Dega duels. You bring it home in the podium last week at Atlanta, and here tonight you bring it home with a checkered flag. Not necessarily the smoothest road to get up to the front, but once you got there, you seemed like the strategy was stay committed to that double yellow line. Let everybody else try and take the longer way around the racetrack.
Yeah, we pretty much left pit road. And it worked out. We had really good pit stops. We were able to get the lead pretty much right off the bat, and then we actually organized it as soon as we were able to get Mir to the middle line. We're like, just keep pinching on me so they can't go 3 middle, make them go to the wall if they're gonna do it. And we kind of pulled a colleague strategy, and at one point had all 3 of us, 1, 2, 3 across the track with me, Mike, and Mir. So just kind of, can't pass us if we're all the lanes.
Lot different racing this week with fewer cars being in the field. You obviously were victim in those first 2 cautions, both of them caused by just a little bit of aggressive pushes going into the corner. We also saw some contact between you and Ryan Potter down the back straightaway on lap 23, but it seemed like overall aggression was a lot lower this week. Do you think guys knew what was at stake, or do you just think that the smaller field really helped guys contend for the win?
I don't know. Honestly, it's hard to say because it felt really aggressive on the track. It might not have looked like it, but there were some really weird pushes going on, and just lots of side drafting and lane changing. I think after the pit stops, people were kind of more stuck in a way, just because, like, obviously I think we got a little split, so the field wasn't quite as big. But it felt aggressive in the car, and I'm glad. I guess it didn't look like it though.
Were you shocked at all throughout that race, especially there at the end? I'm sitting here saying I better keep my Formula V ready to go because surely I'm going to have to get it back out there. But the top lane forms, you guys run 3 abreast there for a while and no caution.
Yeah, honestly, I thought we'd get another yellow. I had to use a fast repair still after that second wreck. I didn't use it, kind of thing, and I was like, oh, we'll get another wreck. I couldn't go over like 190, kind of thing. We got to green flag stops, and I was like whatever, I gotta use it, because if we're doing green flag stops, it's gonna hurt the whole team if I don't have a brand new car. And yeah, thankfully, leading the race is sometimes the safest spot, and we end up going caution free to the end afterwards anyway. But yeah, it really just worked out.
Well, the victory here tonight puts you right in the forefront of the conversation to clinch your 3rd championship trophy. We're going to be looking forward to seeing how it shakes out in 2 weeks at iRacing Super Speedway. But a big step towards maybe being a 3-time champ with that checkered flag here tonight at Daytona. We'll let you get back to your celebrating in a moment, but first we're going to give you the opportunity to thank some sponsors and do some shout outs.
Yeah, the whole Sky Motorsports Hula Monkey crew, and we had another good showing tonight, minus the Choose V by Joey Chapman tonight, which I think that was fun. That was cool to see.
I chose my destiny. I chose to be the V. I knew what I was doing.
Yeah, dude, it was terrifying. That car is so tiny coming at you. But yeah, the whole team, we worked really, really great tonight. I think it shows more, when you can kind of control the field a bit more, being able to do things like that. It shows teamwork is really, really big, and it paid off really good tonight. Obviously, all the sponsors. I know we're missing some people tonight, but obviously all the sponsors on the cars. Mir does all the paint scheme stuff like that. They always look good. Obviously, Matt Rod putting on the league with Mike and stuff like that. I think he tried out a new system this week. It seemed to work good, so I think he's down to solo adminning now, which I'm sure Mike's not upset about that. So that'll be fun. We got one more race left, and then obviously you guys throwing on the broadcast and having guest star Joey Chapman.
Thank you. Yes, I'm glad I could lend my voice to this and not the driver chat raging.
Well, Bronson, congratulations on the victory here tonight at Daytona. Best of luck in 2 weeks as you look for another championship trophy here in the Baadteshop Superspeedway Series at iRacing Superspeedway.
Yeah, we'll see what we got. Thanks, guys.
Bronson Stafford, your winner here tonight. 8th different winner on the season, and the point standings have been updated. Again, as I mentioned, coming into tonight, you have to be within 97 points to have a mathematical shot at the championship, and it looks like, Joey, we got an 8-horse race heading into that finale. Kenny, back to the top of the point standings. Only 10 measly points over Dylan Poteet, only 24 points back to tonight's winner, Bronson Stafford. Blake Trawick still in the conversation in 4th, Connor Holden 5th, Sebastian Miller, Sean Billman, and Chad Winstead look like they will be the ones that have a mathematical shot at that championship. And you brought up the point as well, double points next week. So it's going to be interesting to see how the calculations go. I don't know how well we'll be able to do up here in the booth of being able to mathematically manually calculate as everything occurs every corner, every lap, but it will be interesting to see how it all shakes out because that's just a little added caveat into what occurs next week.
And I don't even know if I want to be a part of that race next week because I'll be good the race, but I don't want to mess up anybody's chances, especially a teammate's chance of being able to win it. And then to have the championship at a place like iRacing Superspeedway, a super wide racetrack where anything can happen. It's just unbelievable, the racing there at that racetrack, and I'm sure we're going to have a great field for that. We'll take a look at the unofficial results for the Derbies. We do not have the meets 150. Bronson Stafford and Robert Kinney locking up the top 2 spots there with Sky Motorsports. Sam Dyer and Matthew Rodriguez. Chad Winstead rounding out the top 5. Blake Trawick, Cam Barnes, Matt Muir, Mike Tillier, and Sean Billman, who we thought was going to lose the pack there at the end, but was able to make his way back up into the top 10.
Yeah, that 5th place finish keeps Chad Winstead in the conversation. Matthew Rodriguez, talked to him before tonight. He said, I just want a top 5. He was able to net that 4th place position. Only Toyotas and Fords up inside of the top 10 here in this one. We had a couple of Chevrolets up in the conversation. The 42 of Roberto Ramirez, he was caught up in that last wreck. Andrew Siegel, he ended up losing the pack on the round of green flag pit stops. Dylan Poteet came in as the points leader, but outside of the top 10, 11th place, caught up in that wreck, so he'll be heading into the finale, currently sitting 2nd in points. Sebastian Miller, we saw him get into the wall not too long before they took the white flag. He was able to pass quite a number of drivers in that wreck and net a 12th place finishing position. John Peterson, Roberto Ramirez, and DJ Stagner, last week's winner, the top 15. There's Andrew Siegel, gets 16th place. Ryan Potter in 17th, Jason Shuey in 18th. I believe Cody Lamas did not reach the conclusion of this race after being involved in the second caution of the night, so he will net the 19th position. And boy, 3 things here tonight. You're not only in the commentator's booth, you're not only the choose car, but you're in a 20th place finish as well.
Yeah,
Look at that.
That's defamation of character right there. I did not run the race. I did not finish 20th. I probably would have finished 20th regardless. But no, what an absolutely amazing race that these guys put on. We're looking at the last 2 weeks. This season definitely started off shaky. There's been a lot of frustrations this season about the racing, about the aggressiveness, and guys not necessarily knowing kind of the code of how guys race in this league. But at Atlanta, we saw a really great long green flag run, even if the race didn't finish the way that I wanted it to. And then tonight, green flag pit stops, 3x3 battles throughout the field. And now we're going to head into iRacing Superspeedway for the championship. Double points with 2 great races under our belts. And now it's just going to be a matter of how aggressive are they going to be next week. Do the newer guys know, hey, we can't play it as aggressive? 8 guys battling out for the championship. It's going to be nerve-wracking, and it's not going to be decided until we come off of turn 4.
Will we have our 9th different winner on the season? Only time will tell. Again, off week next week, it will be April 5th The finale will take place at iRacing Superspeedway, third and final time this season that we head to the 3-mile high banked Superspeedway Championship hanging in the balance. Bronson Stafford is your winner here tonight at Daytona. He takes home the Derby as we do not have the meets 150. Thank you all for tuning into our coverage here tonight on the Flat Out Racing Network on the YouTube side, Split Second Broadcasting on the Twitch side. A big thank you to our producer, Jeff Johnson. Thank Joey Chapman for joining me up here in the booth. And I'm Seth Cole. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks as we finish off the season here, Season 5 of the Upper Edge Racing Body Shop Super Speedway Series. Until then, have a great night, everybody. We'll see you for the finale.